Hey everyone, Shalon Winter here. As always, here's the risk disclosure. Trading futures is risky. You can lose all your money. Know what you're doing before you do it. Also, past results does not indicate future performance. All right, take a pause on the video. Read over that. Okay. Also, as I want to note, Labor Day sale, 80% off all evaluations. Use code WIN80. This is going on through Thursday, September 8th at midnight. 80% off your first month, 50% off all recurring months, up to 10 accounts. Grab your accounts. futuresniperbeast.com/Apex Trader Funding. All the links are in the description below. Make sure subscribe to my channel, subscribe to all social media, everything, because a lot more is coming. Okay, today I'm covering, this is Friday, September 2nd, pre-market. The time is 8:20 Eastern time. Okay, I got started. I logged in here. This is NQ. And as I mentioned in my last video, I am now also, not only am I taking LRE trades, I am scalping Simplicity. My last video, if you haven't seen it, check that out. My trade session for 9-1. I explain why my back testing on Simplicity, going for 10 points, how I scalp it. I explain a lot of that in the beginning of the video. So I'm not going to do that in this video. I'm just going to go over my trade session. So if you want that information, go check out the beginning of my trade session 9-1, and I explain that there. Okay, so we're gonna get started here. If you look, I want to note this very first before we start. Look at all this news up here. Friday we had non-farm employment change, unemployment rate, average hourly earnings. Okay, these three high impact news items are coming out 10 minutes from the time I started recording here. So, as we know, with news of that nature, anything can happen. The market will probably fly up, fly down, go crazy. So I'm not even really trying to analyze what's happening very much at the moment. Okay? Because I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for that news to come out. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward this a little bit because nothing happens till then. So I'm going to fast forward here. Let's go. Okay, should be getting pretty close. 8:27. No, do this. There we go. 8:27. Okay. News is about to be released. I want you to see how crazy this market gets real quick in case if you haven't really traded NQ during a news release like this. So just watch. Because this is live. Let me fast forward a little more. Well, this is live speed. I want you to see that when the news releases. So here it is. Watch when the news releases. This is live speed. This is not fast forwarded. Okay. Getting ready to release. It's that settlement. Boom. Look at that go. What happened? It's not a glitch. It's the news release. Look at that. How can you trade or analyze anything in that, right? Look, I mean, it's just flying like crazy. You'll get crushed. It's flying 50 points up and down like nothing. Okay, so I want to point out, though, when news releases happen, there's a little trick, okay? First of all, we have a dark zone, 5 minutes before the news release and 5 minutes after the news release on high impact news where you don't trade. You wait because you will get crushed. But What I will say is when the news releases, look what's happening right now. It's going up, right? You can see the market, it's going crazy, but it's going up if you look at the price. Typically, after it settles down from the reaction of the news, most of the time, price will retrace back down to around where the price was before the release. Okay, so or up. So if the market ran up with the news release, many times it'll retrace back down. If it shot down on the news release, many times it'll retrace back up. Okay, keep that in mind whenever I show you my trade. So now I'm gonna fast forward it now because I'm just waiting. Okay, just waiting. As you can see, the market's still kind of going a little wonky. Now it's hitting up here at 12,400. Slowing down a little bit, you can see. And you know when it's slowing down because back here you get all these low volume numbers. Like here, you see 444,000, all these crazy low volume numbers in these bars. So now it's slowing down. It's starting to print some orders, give us some order prints, right? Okay, it's starting to give us some order prints. It's starting to slow down. Now, I'm going to say this because you don't see the 30-tick chart right this second, but this becomes a big level. We got a gap level, wall, and dynamic magnet here. As you can see, when it got to it, it chopped around a little bit, right? Back here, it chopped around. It couldn't break it. Came back down to the gap level, couldn't break it, shot up. So if I identified a top, a clear top there, and it's having a hard time breaking this, okay, and I'm having to look at the simplicity chart, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, if it breaks it and gives a simplicity, then I could take the trade. So I'm going to fast forward a little more. Okay. There's going to be an area you don't quite see because of how the market is right now. You're not going to quite see until after the trade when I show you the simplicity chart and the 30-tick chart why I took it, and it'll make sense once you see that. Okay. I believe it's right below this area is where I want to get in. Or there it is. There's the gap, wall, and dynamic magnet coming back down to it. So now we're back down to it. As you can see, the market was up in this area for quite a while. Now it's coming back down here to this area. And this is where it couldn't break earlier. And as you see, it got stopped again there. So this was a stronger, it's harder to see on the 10-tick on this one, but you'll see on the 30-tick and simplicity chart why this level to me was significant, and if it broke it, that I would get in. And there it goes. It broke it, and I was moving my mouse around a little bit. I have global connect on all my charts, so when I move on another chart, it moves all of them. So give me just a second. Bear with me, and I'll have it back to my trade. Here we go. So I'm in the trade. Now, hold on. Now I want to note, because there's this mini magnet here, right? I was already expecting I wanted it to break this dynamic magnet, and I was hoping it would just clear the mini magnet, but I'm already expecting that, hey, you know, especially since we laid this cluster here, it might hang around this area for a little bit. My stop is above this wall, okay? So my entry is 365.50. My ATM puts me in at 375.50. That's 10 points. But that would have been like right here. And I figured this thing might reach, if it does some retracing it might play around here a little bit before it eventually decides to go. Like I said on my last video, I don't want to get stopped out quick. If I left my stop here, I don't want it to play around, knock me out, and then go down. So on this one, I was okay with taking a little more risk. Okay, because if it broke this mini magnet ZOI and came back up in this area, it's probably going to shoot back up. So I figured if it's going to play around here, we have, cluster, ZOI. You can see also that as it came down to this gap level, this wall, bounced up, chopped around the ZOI a little bit, left a cluster, came down, look, pulled back up, tested that ZOI, came down, I got in, came up, left a cluster, tested the ZOI again. So there's a difference in pattern. It didn't make a range and come back up here, chopped around, and after this little chop, I said, okay, I feel good that it's going to come back through. I don't love that this bar laid the mini magnet on this wall, but it was just a little coil chop, came back through. Okay. So now broke through that mini magnet. Now I know it's going to go through. It just had that little moment of hesitation to really get through there. And like I said, once my trades get about 3/4 of the way, so in this case, I go for 40 ticks or 10 points. Once it gets to around 30 ticks or so, I like to move to break even to protect, because worst thing, I don't want it to go 30, 35 ticks and then reverse and all the way back up and lose. That's horrible feeling, and that can mess up your discipline. So you'll see as this makes its way, there's a little cluster there, so it's just giving a little hesitate. And as it makes its way down, I move my stop to protect. Not yet though, because like I said, I need it to get about 3/4 of the way there first. You don't want it too tight. So now, there we go. It broke that little coil chop, moved my stop to break, not break even, I call break even 3 or 4 tick winner, something like that, to cover commissions and everything. So there it is. Hit the dev, hit my target, got out. This thing kept running down, but I don't care because I'm just scalping. I'm just scalping simplicity. I want my 10 points and I'm out. Okay. It could have bounced from that dev. We don't know. I could have just tightened up a stop and let it run, but right now I'm just scalping simplicity. That's all I'm doing. Okay. So now let me show you the simplicity chart. There it is. Now look at this. You can see the news shot up, came down, and look at all this kind of up and down, bouncing around this area, right? Simplicity went sideways. So after it shot up, now after all this time, it kind of hit up there after all this time. And we have this level here. I mean, this made of a floor, a support, right? It didn't bounce off of it. It tried back here, couldn't break, came back up. Now it's coming back down. What did I say at the beginning of the video? Many times after a news reaction, price likes to retrace back to around where price was before the news. So when it broke this area, this level of significance here, we had an early entry, meaning there's 2 red lines angling down, and then it broke that, but the lines haven't crossed yet. So that's why it's an early entry. See how they cross here and then they come down, angle down? See, a regular entry would have got me in, like right at the dev, but I got in at the early entry, so I already scalped my winner at the dev. You could have got in there and kept going down. But I'm seeing this as, okay, if this breaks this level and gives me that entry, we're going to go down. And there it is. Took my 10 points. Okay. Now I'm about to pull up the 30 tick chart here so I can show you. There's the 30 tick chart. So here's where it ran up, Did that little pullback I mentioned, ran up, chop, 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 kind of found its top, found its area, broke down, okay, had some double clusters there, then broke down, gave me my entry, hopped in, took it to the dev, okay. And that's it. As you can see, it's still running down. But that was it, my one and done trade. I mean, look at it. This is where I got in when it broke. It did retrace on me a little bit. Came back down, hit my target. Broke, came down, and still running down. Retracing back to around where that original entry was. Okay, so that was it. That was my day on Friday. Took my 40 ticks, 10 points, and I was done. Hope this helps, and have a great weekend. I'll see you next week. Take care.